So that's just one thing. I would just watch the geophysical changes, the earthquakes that are going to be escalating along the Ring of Fire, because the planet itself is really reaching a point.
They just had an earthquake in Chicago, I believe, a week or so ago, which is unheard of.
Yeah, outside of Chicago.
Right.
The New Madrid, it's predicted that the New Madrid's going to break loose again. And when it does that whole central corridor is going to be a shallow sea, if you want to look at it. Not very deep, but that's going to separate the East Coast from the West Coast, which is more calamities that are coming up. I mean, we can look at what's going on. My suggestion is for everybody out here is to live every day like it's your last one, but plan on living forever. Meanwhile, getting the education in order to put all this stuff together. I mean, I have a big knowledge because I run around with a lot of different people. My background's in geophysics, in engineering and law and business. You know, it's a big monopoly game. So I have a different understanding of what's going on outside California. I know it's getting ready for the San Andreas to break loose.
Yeah, I've had different information come through that there's going to be an earthquake there that's going to start in California. It'll be felt the whole way up into New York. And then within the next couple months.
Yeah, no, it'll be felt all over. It's going to move 18 feet, roughly. That's what they're predicting. I mean, I was up in Sacramento with the TV crew. They're getting ready to, they expect it at any time right now. There's 1,000 earthquakes a day that's happening in California right now. They just don't report anything over at 3. You can look it up on your internet.
Right.
Just go look up California earthquakes.
But this one's going to be noticeable.
I mean, it's there. It's the problem is that there's just so much information, and how do you put it together so you can live within your own life?
You're right. We're getting another caller in here, I think. So, where do you see yourself in the coming years?
Well, from my information, they told me, I'm talking about my off-planet friends, it's basically to stay, so I'm moving around a little bit. So I'm going to have a place. I'm in a relatively safe area where I'm at right now. I don't think anything is going to be safe on the planet. I think I have friends in South America, and I go down there quite a bit. When the thing really begins in earnest over here, and whether we're able to travel anymore, then I'm going to be starting looking at what direction to go. Like you say, I'm in a fairly safe place in the United States. I know it's going to be here. The question is, what system are we going to have? Because I see the whole political system collapsing. Politics is 2 words. Poly means many, and ticks are bloodsuckers. And these guys up at the top are ego. It's so incredible. They just, they think they're above everybody, and basically we've allowed that to happen. So our Constitution has been ripped off in every direction, but there's nobody to challenge it. You can do all your petitioning you want. It's over. My representative friends, I was with 3 state representatives just a couple weeks ago, and they just said Washington's gone. They have no control. They're trying to make it so some of the states are going to be sovereign. In other words, their own state will be outside of the system that we have, and try to maintain them. In our state, we're even trying to create a new currency, like they're trying to do down in Georgia right now. And, there's a few states that know what's happening, the state legislature, but even within the legislature of the states, very few of them will go along with it because they get their check every month like everybody else.
Right.
But those are all going to go away. I hate to tell people that, but they're not going to have any retirement accounts. They're not going to have any of that, because where is money? They're all controlled. Why do you think the government's pushing to everybody to get a new annuity issued by the government? Well, all the money's borrowed out of Social Security right now. Everything that was in Social Security was borrowed by the federal government, because you think, well, the federal government's always going to be there. Well, it's not.
Right. Huh. That's leaves you pondering a lot. And then
that's what you want me on. You want me on the radio so you can get information for people to ponder and put it together.
Absolutely. And then let them discern for themselves.
Exactly. Well, I'm here to try to give you some ideas of what's happening from an overview. And then there's a lot of authors that have written their book, and I suggest they go into my website and look at some of the titles and read them, or just email us to get one of our catalogs. That's okay. Our catalog has a lot of descriptions and details of the books of where you should be at. In other words, Rawls, Captain Rawls, wrote a book, The End of the World as You Know It, and How to Survive It. And he's got a couple other ones, and there's other people up in New York. The Long Emergency is a good book. There's a lot of people that have written books that know what's going on, that are insiders, are trying to warn people. I mean, and Newt Gingrich just did a foreword on a new book. It's called 1 Second After. We don't have it, but you can get it on the internet. I mean, you read that book, you're going to be really blown away, because Gingrich himself wanted everybody to read the book, and he wasn't the author. He just did the foreword on it.
Right.
But this is people don't read anymore. That's the other problem.
Mm-hmm. So in your professional opinion, with all your experience, I know like the 2012 thing is that you can't really pinpoint a date, but within this next year, along with the geographical changes and that, do you feel that this particular year, 2010, there may or may not be a financial collapse, or how soon do you think that will happen?
Well, I've been, last year I predicted that the market would drop down to 3,500. I still think it will, and I think at that point it may just shut down. There'll be no trading. So when you're asking about economic collapse, when will the world no longer take the dollar? Now, the dollar has always been strong because of the military. Well, in order to get everybody diverted, remember, every country now is in trouble. The euro's in trouble right at this second. Germany's holding the stuff together, and they're fighting about that. The dollar over here is only because people are willing to take it. Well, probably when I go overseas, for instance, you go to Europe, you can't use the dollar in any country now. They won't let you take it, except for Switzerland. The money changers in Hong Kong, the guys on the street, the change between the different, because everybody goes over there. They won't take the dollar anymore. They won't even take American Express, which I thought was interesting. They still take MasterCard and Visa. American Express is a private company that, and they're just saying that they may not be existent. So how they're going to get their money? Isn't that interesting?
That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so you go back to the same thing. Now, when are we going to be collapsing? Any moment. I keep waiting for a long weekend. Like this is a long weekend, a 3-day. You wake up on Monday and it'll be all over. Then you're going to be going to the post office and getting your new card. That's the reason why I'm urging people to get at least 3 to 6 months of food stored up right now.
Okay.
You better do that. And then, I also suggest having a couple thousand or a month or 2 months of cash in small bills, 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s. Outside of the country, it's hard to get even banks they won't take hundreds anymore. They will take some 50s, but most of them won't do anything.
Right. Well, George, we're about running out of time. I want to thank you for being on our show, and we'd love to have you back. And you just did a little summary of what people could do. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with before we wrap up?
Yeah, there's a little prayer that's in our little handbook, and it's called, all you have to do is say, I am a human, becoming, help me become. That allows communication between you and the extraterrestrials that are monitoring the planet right now, hoping they're going to wake up to who and what we are so we can change everything. I mean, if you read John 1 in the Bible, it says, in the beginning there was the Word. It wasn't true. In the beginning it was thought. Words are just thought out loud. So if we can get enough people to rethink the ending of the story, and that's what we're looking about doing, that is the basis of change. And out of the chaos, we can create something new. We know what hasn't worked. In other words, you can look at history, right? History is 2 words. His story, always written by the victor. History hasn't worked. We have to be calling on higher energies that understand it, however you view, the creation as such. And that's what we're doing. And I'm hoping that all people that you're listening, that are listening to you, would at least go and ponder the information in the handbook for the new paradigm. Just ponder it.
Yep.
And that's all I need to do. And, bless everybody. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, George. Hang on just for a second here while I wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Next week we'll be discussing time-space exploration of an American Civil War period with Andrew Basiago. If you like the show, dislike the show, any other questions, suggestions of content for future shows, email me at universaltalking@gmail.com. Or if you missed the show and would like to listen to the content or would like to refer a friend, simply log on to my website at www.universaltalk.info. And this is Joe Morris signing off for Universal Talk, WPHB 1260 Country Roots.